Welcome to episode 16 of the Lightning Round. I'm your host, Lightning.
And I'm your co-host, Scratchy Dash.
And as always, the Lightning Round is brought to you by Philly Games and their upcoming game, Welcome to Ponyville. You can find out more information about that at www.phillygames.com. So, interviews coming up. We have an interview with Joshua Lees, aka McTwiggification. That'll be coming up later on today. And also next week, we have our interview with Silly Philly Studios. As you may have noticed, we've been off the air for a week because of problems with Midwesteria getting in the way, and just a lot of other things. Last week we were supposed to have our Season 3 discussion, where we were going to discuss that and put that in the podcast. Being that did not happen, it'll be going up on my channel as a video for itself. So that'll still be out there, and that'll be coming out later on this week. I've also been involved in a new fanfic podcast where we will read a fanfic and then review it. There's already been 2 episodes. The first one that we did was My Little Dashie, and then we also went into a little bit of Cupcakes, and we reviewed both of those for our first episode. The second episode that we did was a review of Past Sins, and there will be an episode 3 coming up on the 24th of September. We will be recording our review of On a Cross and Arrow, and that'll be coming out shortly thereafter. Those, we're still working on getting those up on a YouTube page, but you can find those both on SoundCloud. Next thing I want to announce is that I have made a new Twitter, so you can follow us on Twitter at the Twitter page is at Lightning2nd, and I'll be twittering about anything new coming up on my page, as well as the release dates for the Lightning Round podcast as well. Last thing I want to talk about before we get into the interview is huge news coming in from Philly Games. The first act of Welcome to Ponyville will officially be released on the 21st of September. It's been a long time coming. This is going to be fantastic. So if you've been following this and you've been anxious for it to come out, the 21st, it will be released. And I'm sure there will be posts about that on Equestria Daily and stuff like that as well. So with that, we'll head into the interview for this week. So first thing on the list this week, we have our interview with Joshua Lees, aka McTwiggification.
Hello there.
So, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and how you became a brony?
Okay, gladly. Well, I haven't really been a brony that long, probably about a year or so, and it all started because I'm a member of a LARP group, which for anyone in the audience who doesn't know, LARP stands for Live Action Roleplay. It's like recreating historical battles and stuff, but ours is set in the future. Our group, and we write our own storylines and everything, and we have characters. It's a lot of fun. But last year, while I was down at an event, one of the people down there who I'm friends with, who is a brony, had a soundboard from My Little Pony. And while I'd heard of My Little Pony before, and seen a couple of pictures around digging out and stuff, it didn't really interest me because, as probably most of you started out, you're like, oh, it's just ponies, right? But my friend had this soundboard, and he was showing me lines from it, and I was thinking, these lines don't quite sound like something that would come from My Little Pony I remember, which was the girly, sparkly Generation 2, Generation 3 ponies that were around when I was really, really young. So I thought, alright, you know what, I'm a guy with an open mind, whatever, I'll give this a look, see how it goes. Forgot about it a little bit until I went back to university, and I was rather bored, so I thought, what was that thing my friend was talking about? My Little Pony or something. So I he linked me to the first episode of season 1, and I watched it, and I was thinking to myself, it's actually rather good. Perhaps I should watch another episode. I watched another episode. This is actually... Yeah, I'll watch another one. I watched the entire series 1 in, entire season 1 in, 2 days. Because I just thought it was really, really good, which is interesting to me. So, yeah, that's pretty much the story of why I became Brony. As for The Sins, do you guys have any specific questions on those, or shall I just tell you?
We'll be getting to that later.
Cool.
Alright, and of course, favorite pony and favorite episode. Choose wisely.
Right, favorite pony is really easy, because I'm, the biggest fan of Derpy Hooves in the entire world. I just think she's absolutely adorable. I love her. I have a Derpy shirt, I've got a Derpy necklace, poster, just gonna get a plushie. And my life will be complete. As for favourite episode, I don't know. Okay, does the Cancelot Wedding count? Because I can watch that one over and over and over again.
Yes, it does.
Okay, Cancelot Wedding, but equally on par with the one with the love poison in it, with the cute
Hearts and Hooves Day?
Yeah, that one, or the Cancelot Wedding episodes, because I think they're awesome.
Alright, so, what prompted you to create your YouTube page? Because you made it about a year ago, but you didn't start posting anything on it for quite a while.
No, I did have stuff posted on it. I was trying to do, Let's Plays and stuff, but I deleted the videos a couple of months back because they really weren't high quality. They weren't good enough, really, when I look back at them. So, originally it was actually a Let's Play channel, which it still is if you look at the description. It just says that everything else is on hold until I finish doing my series.
Okay.
But, I know it's McTwiggification's an odd name, but it comes from the fact that when I was in year 7, when I was 11 or 12, I got into RuneScape. I don't really play it anymore, but the first character, I had a hard time coming up with a character name that didn't have numbers in it, but wasn't taken. So eventually I came up with the random thing. I just thought, well, let's try Mr. McTwiggy with a couple of dashes and stuff in it. And it wasn't taken, so that's that. And then every time I've logged onto a website, I've logged onto something new, so like DeviantArt or something, Mr. McTwiggy has always been the name I've used, because it's never ever taken.
Alright, was the YouTube page always intended to be centered around ponies?
No, it wasn't. It was supposed to be a Let's Play channel, but obviously as I've got into ponies and become a brony, I don't mind putting videos on it. I'd rather not make a separate channel, and it's unique enough sounding that people can remember it, hopefully, if it becomes popular. Fingers crossed.
So where did the idea for My Little Pony, The Sins of Friendship, come from?
Well, originally, I discovered Cancelot.com through one of my other friends, and I wanted to make my own OCs, but I really hate the idea of either overpowered OCs, who can come out of any situation perfectly fine, or OCs that are kind of not really very original. So, that coupled with the fact that I've always been a fan of personifying things that I've always been a fan of personifying things that don't have personalities and stuff. For example, the Seven Deadly Sins. I mean, it's done in the Binding of Isaac. I'm a big fan of playing the Binding of Isaac, so you guys can probably see the similarities there if you guys have ever played that game. But I made the Sins originally just as characters and there was no backstory when I made them. There was no Altestria, there was no Shoal, there was no reason why they were in Equestria. In fact, originally, before I really came up with the backstory, the idea was that they would be fighting with the main 6, as sort of the antithesis of the 8. You'd have Greed would be the opposite of Rarity, for example, because she's the spirit of generosity. But as I sort of role-played with my characters and tried to come up with backstories for them, I really actually disliked the fact that they were bad guys. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do something interesting with this, why not turn it on its head and make them protagonists rather than antagonists? And have them, instead of fighting the main 6, have them need their help for something. And it's obviously going to be the elements that happen, because that's what the main 6 are. So then I had to come up with a backstory as to, something interesting as to why they would need their help. So then I thought, well, alternate universe is always a good idea. Everyone loves another universe. Then I just it's hard to answer without specific questions, but I just kind of came up with a backstory. I came up with the name Altestria, alternate Equestria. I'm good at naming things. And just sort of evolved it from there steadily.
Alright, and do you do all the writing for the animation?
Yes, I do all the script writing. I do everything but voice act in it. Oh, I shouldn't say permanently voice act, because I will lend my voice to background characters or something.
So you do all the vectoring and all the music for the project and stuff like that?
I do all as opposed to artwork, I gather all the resources together. As it says in the credits, all the vectors are apart from my own original characters, are from the MLP Vector Club, because it's just easier to gather them all together and put them together into the background images. If I need one of my characters to be doing a pose that I don't have, I will trace over the top of a vector from one of the main six and have my characters do that pose. So that's really the artwork I do, though I gather them together. So the pictures you see on the backgrounds, in essence, are made by me, but the art assets have come from other people who I credit in the credits. As for music, I can't write music. I don't have any music writing programs, so I just use music from games or mostly from games because it doesn't have singing over the background that match the situation that I put the music to. Again, I credit everything in the credits anyway.
Alright, and who are the VAs that you have involved in the project?
Yeah, I have quite a few, actually, including one or two one that I'm actually really surprised to have, and that's Rena-chan. A funny story behind that being that I had no idea who she was until about a couple of weeks into the project, because I was a fan of Turnabout Storm, which I think she voices Twilight in that, and I just heard her voice and I was like, oh, she sounds really, really good for Twilight. Let's message her and see if she'll be willing to do it. Not knowing, of course, that she's actually like a proper voice actress and she does all this stuff and she does things for like official games and stuff. And I just messaged her saying, hey, I've got this idea for this project. Hopefully it's pretty unique. Would you be interested in auditioning for Twilight and Applejack? And she was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then it wasn't until a few weeks further down when I had most of my voice actors together that Michael Fitzpatrick, who's voicing Greed and Wrath, said to me, you do know Rena-chan's like a full-time, well, not full-time, but she's like a really, really prominent voice actress. She does like proper stuff. And I was like, no, I had no idea. And it just completely blew my mind that I've managed to get her on my project, and I had no idea who she was. As for everyone else, they're relatively unknown, maybe. I know that Amy Smith, who does Fluttershy, I think has done it in some other projects. And I think that Rachel, who's doing Lost and Pinkie Pie, has been in other projects too, but I don't think they're that well known, really. I don't know if any of you guys... Well, actually, you guys might know Neil Worcester, who's doing Rarity, because he has his own channel. He does audiobooks, but he's in Doctor Who's Adventures and a couple of other things. He also has his own Draw Ponies live stream where he draws ponies, as you would expect. I've got John Zao, who's doing Sloth. Pride and Gluttony are done by Rachel Duvall. Again, I don't think anyone knows them. My friend Fran is doing Envy. And Jay's doing Rainbow Dash. I think you two know Jay, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty much my cast list of major characters. I get random people in now and again to do background voices.
So, in the description of your newest video, the second episode that came out, you had mentioned something about someone that has told you they can animate the series and make animated versions of the project. Is that in the works right now?
Yeah, that's my friend Paul, who was in the lab group that I told you about. He did a media course. He's done a media course for the university and stuff, but he's doing other things. He volunteered to animate it for me, and it is an extremely slow process because he's not only really, really busy, he's really busy, so he doesn't get time to do it often. He's done, on around about possibly 2 days work so far, and has got about 5 minutes of it done, because that's how he has to make all the assets from scratch. So it is an extremely slow process, but it's one I'm not pushing for. I'm not coming to him and saying, I need this done by such a time. When the animations are done, they'll be released. That's basically the thing I'm going down, It is like a treat, Well done, guys. You put up with my storyboard animation. Here's an animated version of episode 1, for instance. And then I'm hoping that when they've all been animated, I can put them all together into one big release and just have it like a movie, an instance. Because I'm hoping that the whole thing together will be about an hour or so, over an hour long, so I can release the whole thing, hopefully.
Alright, do you have any plans on making it exclusively animated, or will you continue to bring out the unanimated videos?
For now, everything's going to be unanimated. It's kind of maybe a little bit of a spoiler, but I have a short song in the works that's basically a rewritten version of This Is Halloween from Nightmare Before Christmas. That will be it'll just be the song, but if I get that done, that will be completely animated, but it won't be included in an episode. All the episodes are going to be storyboard versions, just because it means I can get them out quicker to everyone, rather than wait for everything to be animated. If I had the money, I could buy Adobe Flash myself and do it, but I don't. I'm a student. I'm skinned.
So just for everyone that's not familiar with the series, can you tell us the main story behind The Sins of Friendship?
Certainly. The basic idea is that I don't know. Do you guys know about the law of thermodynamics and stuff like that, like Newton's laws and everything? Because it's quite based. So energy cannot be created or destroyed, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But the basic idea is that if you count emotional energy as energy, like as much as energy as like kinetic energy or chemical energy, then any emotion that isn't used up in one realm will go somewhere else rather than be destroyed. So, for example, in Equestria, where everything's happy all the time and everything's really sunny, there's very little like negative emotion. So all that a negative emotion that's not being used up has got to go somewhere. So where it goes, in my interpretation, is it goes to another realm, Altestria, where everything is negative orientated. The way I describe it to anyone is kind of like as if Tim Burton did Equestria, So it's like Equestria, everything's got a dark twist to it. Now, the idea behind this is that although all the ponies in Altestria, their way of life is, they're used to darkness, that's their way of life, used to everything being dark. Recently, due to unknown events, which will possibly become clear later on, but I'm not saying I think this is a spoiler, the negative energy has been collecting and pooling in one particular area, and when it collected up, when it reached a certain critical mass, it gained consciousness, and spawned this being known as Shoal, which isn't shoal of fish, it's spelled Sheol, not spelled as in a shoal of fish, because it means grave is a biblical reference, because, I like making those. Now, at the same time as Shoal was born, this being of great darkness, that's slowly enveloping the land, 7 aspects of negative emotion were, as the introduction says, catapulted away from the infant Shoal. And these 7 emotions became the 7 sins of friendship. So greed, wrath, lust, pride, sloth, gluttony, and I always forget the last one. Greed, wrath, sloth, whatever the last one is. I always my own characters, and I always forget what the damn name is. But yeah, so these energies became the pony sins, and what's happening is that although everything has a dark twist in Altestria, Shoal is of such immense evil, basically, that it's just enveloping the whole realm and taking everything under its sway, and anyone that gets caught under his aura just loses their mind and loses their willpower and just becomes a thrall. So obviously, the sins want to stop that from happening, because so the idea is that they need the elements of harmony, because the elements of harmony represent pure goodness, And as an example with Nightmare Moon, they can banish evil away. That's the idea behind it, anyway. So that's why the Sins want to get to Equestria, or at least Greed wants to get to Equestria and recruit the elements of harmony to banish Black Soul. So that's the idea behind the story, basically.
Alright, how many episodes do you have planned?
Hopefully around about 12, hopefully. Possibly more. On average, I want to keep each episode around about 10 to 12 minutes long. However, I think that because episode 4 and 5 are meeting the rest of the Sins, I don't think I can fit them all into one episode, so I may have to either split that into 2 episodes or make one extra long episode. But hopefully around about 12 episodes.
And for those of you that don't know, episode 1 and 2 are now currently out, and Josh has also just finished episode 3 of the series, and we're going to play that for you right now.
Greed sure is an odd pony, but I know what it feels like having to rely on others for help. Still, it shouldn't be hard to convince the others to help. At least, I hope not. As much as I hate to break a promise, I think that after I found Rarity and Pinkie Pie, I'll have Spike send a letter to the princess explaining the situation. She needs to be informed. Maybe she'd be able to do something about this? As much as I want to help Greed, No, this pony is in need of help. My help. And I'm not going to sit by or pass this off to some pony else. Losing a friend's trust is the fastest way to lose a friend. If I recall correctly, Pinkie Pie said that her and Rarity were going shopping around Ponyville today. If I know Pinkie, it shouldn't be too hard to find them. That sounds like them.
Oh, my balloons!
Twilight, are you okay?
I'm fine, thanks. Good thing it was balloons and not something dangerous. I thought you were shopping for clothing supplies, though.
We are. Well, I am at least. Pinkie said we'd run out of a few essential party things as we made a quick stop to gather some. Then we ran into you, or rather, you ran into us.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, no harm done here. Though I think Pinkie's going to need some more balloons now. Which reminds me, why is it you're in such a hurry anyway?
It's kind of a long story.
Ooh, stories! I love stories! How about you tell us all about it back at Sugar Cube Corner?
Alright.
I'll just drop these purchases off at my boutique and then we'll come right over.
So, what kind of a story is it, Twilight? Is it a sad story? Oh, is it a comedy? A drama, perhaps? Or is it a spooky horror story? I love scary horror stories.
It's kind of hard to explain, Pinkie. Besides, this story has only just started.
Oh, how is it so far then?
It's okay so far. Maybe off to a slow start, though I feel the action will pick up a bit soon.
Thanks for waiting, girls. Now, Twilight, what's this about?
Okay, well, I have this friend who, let's just say, comes from a very, very far away land.
Like Zakorafar or Lunafar?
I don't really think it's a measurable distance, Pinkie.
What are you saying, Twilight? I'm from another dimension or something? You are saying that, aren't you?
Maybe. Look, the important point is that they're in dire need of our help. That's our, as in all of us, as the elements of harmony.
And dire, as in...
Possibly world-threatening?
Can you give us more information, Twilight? No offense, but if we're going to help this friend of yours. I need to know more about them.
What's their name?
His name is Greed.
Greed? Really?
Oh, that's a funny name. I'd love to meet him. What's he like?
He's very odd.
Odd? That's just another word for interesting. I bet we'd be good friends in no time.
Yes, quite. A name like that. Have you told the princess yet?
That's just it. I can't tell her. At least not yet.
Why ever not?
Greed is worried about her response because of his name and such, and for what it's worth, I agree with him. Although it's not my first choice, keeping the princess out of the loop might not be such a bad thing. Besides, if what Greed has told me is true, we'll be back before any pony misses us.
All right, Twilight. I trust your judgment.
Yay!
Can you take us to meet this Greed?
We'll first need to get Rainbow Dash. If we can find her, we'll have to split up. Rarity, you...
Oh, Twilight, Twilight, Twilight. She's napping right outside, silly. What? I saw her before I came inside. Duh.
Now, the trick is to wake her slowly.
Oh, Rainbow Dash!
Ah, Pinky! What did I say about disturbing me when I'm asleep? I need my rest to stay in top form, you know. Okay. Why are you two here?
Nice to see you too.
Rainbow, sorry we woke you, but we need your help.
What is it this time? Another filly in a well?
Not quite. We need your loyalty.
Is it Discord or Changelings? I'll take them both on if I have to.
As far as I know, it's neither Draconic nor Changelings. Perhaps it would be better to just let the one requesting our aid to tell you personally?
All right, sure, Twilight. Where are they?
Sweet Apple Acres.
Hooray! Applejack is coming too!
It'll become clearer to all of you once you meet. Greed.
Defend the town! Defend the town!
Demon
So it's just all gold. Why? He'll destroy everything! He's coming for us! What do you think the town? Doing here? Quick, stop him! Yes, now!
Demon
Oh,
pony.
it's just
Changeling.
disgusting! Is it even a pony? It's all!
Greed! I thought I told you to stay at Sweet Apple Acres.
Well, you were taking so long. Is this what you meant by paranoia?
Every pony, please listen. Despite his appearance, he's nothing to be afraid of.
Don't listen to her. She's obviously under a spell of some kind.
Rita, Twilight can do like her. Rita! You've chosen your side. How could you be doing this? You've chosen your side. Yes, Rita.
This is getting real bad, Twilight. Do something.
I think it's time to leave. Everybody, gather round, quickly!
Where are
Altestria.
right, that was episode 3 of The Sins of Friendship. Josh, are there any comments that you have on how well the project is doing? Because you got quite a few views on these first 2 videos at least.
Yeah, I'm glad I get to say this because I've been completely blown away with the response. From not the word fans, from, well, let's see, Equestria Daily's helped a hell of a lot because I get posts on there when the episodes come out, but I think if it wasn't for Equestria Daily, it probably wouldn't be as I wouldn't have as many views as I do now. I wouldn't have as many subscribers. I mean, I've got over 100 subscribers, and that's amazing to me. I mean, I know there are people on YouTube with like 10,000 subscribers, but to me, over 100 is just amazing. But my first video had like 200 odd views, and then it got on Equestria Daily, and it shot up to like 2,000, and I was just completely like, oh my god, this is amazing. People are actually looking at my video, and people are commenting as well. Yeah, I found that the Brony community, I mean, I'm into a lot of different stuff, so I have a lot of communities that I interact with. I do Warhammer, I do LARP, gaming communities and stuff, but I have to say that the Brony community is literally one of the best ones I've ever been a part of in terms of people supporting you and commenting on your stuff and giving you help and volunteering to help you with things, you know. For me, it's going better than I ever expected it would. Only from 2 episodes as well. I was expecting get 5 or 6 out there, and then perhaps it'll become slightly well known. You know, people. Then maybe I'll get 1,000 views. But I think I've got nearly 7,000 on my first video. It's just literally blown my mind.
So, are there any other projects you're involved in?
2 at the moment, I believe. One of which is 2 that I can remember anyway. One of which is Prince of Equestria, which I'm voice acting in that one. I'm doing Twilight's dad, Fruit Smoothie, who's a general, and any of the voices that come along because I don't really have that many lines to do at the moment. That's being done by a guy called Shanti. I think that's going to come out on YouTube. I don't actually know too many of the details. It's an audiobook. And the other project I'm becoming involved with is a project for Philly Games with their upcoming game. I'm doing background art and stuff for that one because I recently got Inkscape and got involved in that.
Yes, and we have no idea what that project is all about at all.
No, I'm sure you don't.
Not at all.
So, are there any final thoughts you have, any shout-outs you want to make before we end the interview?
Final thoughts is just, guys, everyone who's watched my videos, especially everyone who's commented, thank you so much for your support. Keep up the support. Critique is essential. Don't worry that you're going to put something and I'm going to be like, oh my god, why did you point this out? No, literally, I mean, like on the first video, people like audio issues, and I was like, oh, I didn't know really about the audio issues, because to me it sounded fine, but if you guys say there are audio issues, great. And I sorted that out for the next episode. If people think anything's, I'm not going to give away spoilers, so I'm not saying ask for spoilers. Just please keep up the support you guys, everyone's been putting in, because it's amazing. Also, look out in upcoming episodes for lots of little references, because I put them in, of lots of different stuff. I mean, just to tell guys, in the first episode there were at least 2 Discord references. I don't think there's many in the second episode. There's actually that many, if any, references in the second episode, but in the third one, if you haven't seen them already, there's a couple of references in there of different, it's either going to be different YouTubers or stuff that I like, so, you know, keep an eye out for them, and comment on them. If you think you've seen one, comment on it, and I'll let you know if you got it right or not. As for shout-outs, other than everyone in the Brony community, I don't really have shout-outs, really, to be honest with you. Just everyone, basically, because you're all amazing. From just those little people who do 1 or 2 pictures of the main 6 on DeviantArt, way up to the people who do Fallout Equestria, or who are involved in organising conventions, or, you know, from the little guys to the big guys, you're all amazing, and I'm really proud to be part of this community, so that's my shout out.
Alright, well, thank you so much for the interview.
No, my pleasure. I'm really glad you guys could do this for me. It's amazing. Thank you very much.
All right, and with that, we'll head into the rest of the interview, or rest of the podcast. All right, that was our interview with Joshua Lees, a.k.a. McTwiggification, and now we'll head into the big news from this weekend, which happened to be Midwesteria. Midwesteria was a convention held in St. Charles, Illinois, and I had the good fortune to actually be on a panel there at Midwesteria, and I got to see what went on there. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what went on. First of all, there were some really interesting panels that went on there. They had Dusty Old Books, which was actually led by Final Draft and Full Papers, who went over what the mythology behind My Little Pony is, where some of the ideas for the show came about, and stuff like that. There was also a first season discussion, which one thing I was really excited about with the panels here were that most of them ended up being more like interactive discussions than actually panels. And so the first season discussion, the person that was leading it actually wanted to involve the audience and say, what were your favorite parts of the first season, favorite songs, favorite scenes, stuff like that. And it went on like that for a good hour and a half. So it was really interesting to listen to and hear everyone else's input on there as well. There was also a grimdark panel talking about what exactly it means to be grimdark and what the difference is between, grimdark and just regular dark or sad and stuff like that. That's when the writers panels started, and for those of you that don't know, there were three of them there. M.A. Larson, Amy Keaton Rogers, and Charlotte Fullerton all were in attendance for the convention. And M.A. Larson had his panel on Friday night, which was really cool. I mean, they filled that room up like big time. And Amy Keaton Rogers was there, as well as the members of Everfree Radio. Most of these panels were filmed by Everfree Radio and the Equestria Inquirer. Joe Stevens was there as well to help record them as well. So a lot of these will be going up on YouTube at some point in time. They're not up yet though, so I'll be sure to keep the show notes up to date, and when those do end up being put on YouTube, I'll put the link for those in the show notes. They also talked a lot about on Saturday, going to the next day, they had a panel on background ponies where they literally picked out every single background pony found in the show and just said any information about them that they could find. So, like, secondary names or alternative names for the character, mane color, coat color, and what their cutie mark was, and episodes where you can see them. It's kind of interesting to see, how many of these background ponies there actually are, because, I mean, it's one of those things you don't usually think about, but there's a lot of them. Later on that day, they had a panel with Pony in the Box Productions. They didn't talk so much about themselves, but instead talked about what it's like making a fan-made project like they do. They talked a little bit about Daring Do Adventures, their new series coming out, as well as Doctor Who's Adventures, and what goes into making a project like that. Later on that day, they had the Amy Keaton Rogers and the Charlotte Fullerton panel, and actually earlier that morning, they had the writers panel with all three of them up there on stage. Saturday was also the day that I had my panel with the Pony POV series. For those of you that don't know, that's the reharmonized Pony series that has been made into an audio adaptation. So that was pretty cool to actually get to discuss that on a panel at a convention. And then on both Friday and Saturday, they added something at night that was a little bit different from every other convention. They actually added karaoke, and this is where a lot of the silly shenanigans went on. The writers were all there for karaoke, and they were actually really getting into it. M.A. Larson and Amy Keating Rogers went up on stage and had a couple of duets. They sang Summer Lovin'. Amy Keating Rogers went up and did a whole bunch of songs. I can't even begin to remember what all she sang because she sang a lot of songs. She's an excellent singer. M.A. Larson actually went up on stage and sang the Flim Flam Brothers song, which is funny because he actually wrote it. I believe there is a video for that that's already out on YouTube somewhere, so definitely go and check that out because it's pretty funny. And then Sunday was the day that it all ended. One of the creators of the convention, one of the head people, is a really big fan of Rarity, and so she had a Rarity is Best Pony panel where everyone there just said what their favorite episodes with Rarity, what they liked about Rarity, favorite quotes that she said, and it was pretty ridiculous. And then right after that, they had the Pony in the Box live radio play where they actually brought people up from the audience to voice act one of their radio plays. I believe it was episode 3 of the Doctor Who's Adventures, and they had people from the audience voice that. So that was pretty cool. And then one of the last things they had for that day was a charity auction, where I don't know what the final price was, but it was probably right around $1,000 that they were able to earn. I know that one of the biggest things that sold there was they had a pair of plushies that was being sold as a set. There was only 2 pairs of these ever made. It was a Celestia plush and a Nightmare Moon plush. And they had, earlier that day they had a scavenger hunt where the Nightmare Moon plush was, the Celestial plush was given away. And then they also had an Iron Pony competition on Saturday where the winner of that got the Nightmare Moon plush. And this second set of Celestia and Nightmare Moon was auctioned off, and it was the only set left. The maker wasn't going to make any more of them, and so it was literally the only set that was still together in existence. And those went for, I think, $225 is what someone paid for those. So really, really cool that they were able to earn some money there. And like I said, a lot of this stuff was being covered by Everfree Radio and the Equestrian Inquirer. I know they were going around the Artist Alley, checking out the vendors there and stuff like that. And I believe they also did a little bit of coverage of the Iron Pony competition. Not the entire thing, of course, because that took a lot of time. But they got over and talked to a couple of people there while that was going on. So expect a lot of things to come out from Everfree Radio and Equestrian Inquirer because they were able to cover a lot of the stuff that went on there. And like I said, I'll make sure to put the links for all those that we did in the show notes. So, with that, we'll head into the news for the week. First thing on the list is that the Tubi Awards went on earlier this week, and not only was Friendship of Magic nominated for Favorite Animated Show, but it actually won the Tubi Award for Favorite Animated Show. Link for that is in the show notes.
And next up, we have Shout Factory's 3rd DVD has been announced, titled Adventures in the Crystal Empire. It's got a release date of December 4th and is available for pre-order. It is Region 1 format, so it is US and Canadian DVD players. But you can find more information on that and spoilery-ish Season 3 covers as well. So check out the show notes for that.
Next thing on the list is that the Shout Factory has also released a full season 1 set. They actually brought out a post saying that they are going to be selling the entire season 1 in its entirety as a box set. That'll be going on. I believe that's already on sale now, and that's going for, I believe, $25, which is pretty good. It's got lots of bonus content as well as every episode of the season. So if you want to see some of this new audio commentaries with the cast and crew, you can definitely go and check that out. The links for that are in the show notes.
And next up, we have yet more convention news. First up, we have a convention titled LunaFest that's been announced. It is actually rather small, but it is actually taking place in Hamburg, Germany. It is set for October 12th, and it has room for about 150 people. It costs about 15 euros. So if you're in that area, definitely go check that out. We also have Silly Philly Con. We also have Silly Philly Con, which is actually going to take place at the Ramada Hotel in Overland Park, Kansas on September 22nd. So it's actually just right around the corner. And their special guests are actually No Whacking, fan voice of Vinyl Scratch in the Epic Web Time video, DJ Shamrock, owner-operator of Celestial Radio, and will actually be live streaming the event, and White Dove Creations, which is a very talented plush maker. You can find more information on those two in the show notes. We also have some more convention news that came out as well a little bit after those did. It starts off with Canterlot Gardens announcing Hot Diggity Demon, their musicians, a cosplay panel, and even more. And I'll actually give you a quick rundown here for the musicians. They actually have Michelle Creeber, Mando Pony, One More Girl featuring Britt McKillop, Silverhound, Tarby, Hey Las Boss, Yelling at Cats, Finning, DJ Tetsu, Whitetail, Rainbow Crash 88, Chain Algorithm, Cyril the Wolf, Forest Rain, and Pony One Kenobi. And of course their special guests are actually, so far they have announced Tara Strong, Michelle Creeber, Andrew W.K., John DiMaggio, Andrea Libman, Jennifer Hale, Lee Tokar, Peter New, Brian Brushwood, Kathy Waisluck, D.C. Douglas, Christina V., Amy Keating-Rogers, Sherclop Ponies, Britt McKillop, Megan McCarthy, Nicole Oliver, Gray Delisle, Quentin Flynn, Kira Buckland, Kimlyn Tran, Meredith Sims, Daniel Ingram via Skype, and Daniel McRae. They also have at least one more big name to announce as well. We also have Equestria LA is actually looking for staff. You do have to be 18 years or older by November 2nd to apply, and you will have to purchase a staff badge and a shirt. But for more details on that, you can always go check them out if you definitely want to be staff. And I think Lightning could tell you that if you want to do some awesome stuff, then just work for them. Isn't that right? We also have EquestriaCon announced. They are actually taking place in Salt Lake City, Utah, May 10th to 11th in 2013, actually. So it's a little bit out there, but at least they're announcing it early, and everybody can definitely plan ahead. We have BronyCon actually released an OC contest for, it was their OC, right? Like the BronyCon OC, I believe it was.
I think so.
And it's actually going on until Friday, September 28th. or they will reveal it on Friday, September 28th. I'm not sure how long the voting goes for, though. All right, PonyCon AU announces Music is War, which is actually an upcoming pony fighting game. And they will be appearing at PonyCon AU in Sydney in 2013.
That's right. I think I actually heard about that Music is War game. I think they've got, instead of the ponies that are fighting, it's actually the brony musicians that are actually in the game fighting, like Eurobeat Brony and stuff like that, and that actually seems like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I did see something about that. That does look kind of funny. They actually released a little bit more, saying they currently have as for musicians, they've got Tarby, Omnipony, DJ Poniver helping with the game's soundtrack and artists. MK, W Mill, and My Little Visual working on the visual effects. And they also have Solrak on board to be the game's announcer, so that ought to be... That's going to be great. And lastly, we've got another convention announcement. This one's actually going to be next summer in Tampa. It is called the Grand Galloping Brony Galacon. There's not too much information on that one just yet, I don't think, but you can check out all the links for these in the show notes.
So as we talked about before, there will be a Crystal Empire DVD that is being sold on December 4th. But they also released a whole bunch of information about it. There will be 5 episodes in total that'll be on the DVD. The first 2 are going to be the Crystal Empire Part 1 and Part 2. And along with that, there'll be Sonic Rainboom, Luna Eclipse, and It's About Time, which are all really good episodes. So this is a really good one. I don't think there's a single episode on there that I don't like. So that's really cool. They also brought out a synopsis for the season 3 premiere, which I'll read it out right now. If you want to avoid spoilers, then mute your computer for a couple seconds here while I read this off. It says, in Adventures in the Crystal Empire, a magical empire has suddenly appeared in the Arctic north of Equestria, and Princess Celestia needs Twilight Sparkle and her friends to find a way to protect it. While her friends try to keep the crystal ponies occupied at the Crystal Fair, Twilight Sparkle searches for the hidden crystal heart that is the key to keeping the Empire safe from harm. So, it definitely sounds really, really interesting. I'm still not quite sure where this Crystal Empire came from, but I'm really excited to see the season 3 premiere. And this is all available on Amazon for $10 and will be released on December 4th. And I'm pretty sure they're already taking pre-orders for that. So definitely check that out with the link in the show notes.
And next up, we have Daniel Ingram vying for role of Best Troll again. He put a post up on his Facebook page that basically said he's really stoked about MLP Season 3. He doesn't give any details other than that. He says a few other things. He's written a ton of songs for several different projects, and that he's just basically excited about it. There's not too much information in there, so you can find a link to that in the show notes.
Alright, last thing on the list is something pretty crazy. Everfree Northwest has already announced the dates that they're going to be holding their convention in 2013. Everfree Northwest will be held in the SeaTac Airport Hilton Conference Center, which I believe was the same venue as the one this year. And it'll be the weekend of July 5th through the 7th. So about a month earlier than this year's. Pre-registration opens on Wednesday, September 19th at 7 p.m. And I wouldn't be surprised if they sold out, like, within the next month, which would be ridiculous, but that's pretty crazy. There's a whole big press release that they did, and you can check that out with the link in the show notes. So with that, we'll head into our PMTV segment for this week, starting with the videos. Being that we didn't have one last week, there are quite a few of them, so let's get started and go through this. First of all is a documentary from Everfree Northwest called Music is Magic, and this was done by all the Brony musicians at the convention. It's about 30 minutes long, and it goes through talking to the musicians that were at Everfree Northwest. Very cool, and you know, any documentary that comes out is usually really well done, so definitely check that out. At Brony Fanfare, Mystery Ben 27 released a new Rhythm is Magic. This one is called Remix Apple Apple Apple, and is actually a mix of pretty much all the ones that have come out so far, and they also added Samurai Applejack in there as well, which is pretty damn funny. I'm a really big fan of Rhythm is Magic, and this one was really, really good, so definitely check that out. Also on the list is a collab that's been done between the two Doctor Who's projects. There's Doctor Who's and the Assistant and Doctor Who's Adventure, and each of them brought out an episode which the Doctor from the other project shows up in one of their videos. And if I'm not mistaken, that collaboration is going to keep on continuing, and there will be more episodes like that come out for each of those series as well. So that's really exciting, and I want to see what they do with that, because I like both of those projects. Next up is a new animation analysis that has come from G. Baudette. This one is called Winging It, and it's about ponies flying. So again, these are always really well done, so if you're an inspiring animator, definitely check it out. These are well worth the watch, even if you're not an animator. They're pretty interesting. The next thing on the list is a video animation of a song that came out titled Legacy of Star Swirl Magic, and it's actually a cello duel. They've got, in the video, it's Octavia up against, I believe, someone called Maestro, and they're up on stage both playing the cello, and the song itself is ridiculously good, and the animation just makes it all that much better. So that's really cool. Another video that came out recently is the Friendship is Witchcraft short that's titled Star Waving Mad. This is the one that they showed at Everfree Northwest, but it just recently was put up on YouTube. So if you missed it at Everfree Northwest, definitely check that out, because this one, although it's shorter than all the others, is pretty funny. So if you're a Friendship is Witchcraft fan, then definitely check that out. The Flamingo 1986 studio, which is the creators of Double Rainbow, have brought out a new promo. Going off of what they did with their second one, they showed a bunch of animations that were done by the team as their audition for the group, and so they put those all in a compilation and posted that as their third promo. All the artists that are involved in this project are very talented, and I can't wait to see what Double Rainbow looks like when it's finally completed, which should actually be coming out fairly shortly too, because they said they wanted it out before season 3, so we'll see what they can do with that. The next one that comes out is a really, really short video. It's done by Zombie Zephyr, and it's titled Lyra Likes Pants. I think it was actually inspired by a GIF that was out as well. And it's really short. I think Lyra in the video is voiced by Rena-chan. So if you're a Lyra fan, definitely check that out because that's pretty funny. Next thing on the list is a video that has come in from Brony Dance Party. If you've been watching them on their live stream, they've been making the PMV for Awoken, which is actually a sequel to the Rainbow Factory song. This one, Awoken, I really hadn't heard about it until Brony Dance Party started making their PMV for it, and then I listened to it and absolutely love the song. And of course the PMV does a really good job of explaining the story of the song as it's being sung. So definitely check that out. Brony Dance Party definitely does some really good stuff, and this is no exception to that. Last thing on the list is something that was brought up by SpiritoWeb, which is one of the creators of the Children of the Night animation that's coming up. They actually brought out a teaser trailer for the project. It's getting really close to completion right now, and the trailer that they brought out is fully animated, and some of the scenes are the same thing as the animatic that they brought out towards the beginning of the summer, and it's looking really good. I can't wait for this episode, or this. I guess it's like a fan-made episode. I can't wait for it to come out because it's going to be really good. And it's a story that I've wanted to hear about as well. So, link for all of those videos can be found in the show notes.
All right, and that brings us to our music section. I've got a few picks out here for you today. The first one is a Scootaloo's Lulu song by DB Pony titled Lessons. And next we have a Zecora song titled Home by Mando Pony. And this one's actually a little bit unique. It's about living in a whole lot of different places and never quite fitting in. So I think it's pretty fitting that it's about Zecora. And I think Mando Pony actually wrote this a little bit from experience, I think. But it's definitely a good song, and it's definitely worth a listen. And next up, we've got Luna's Respite, featuring Mysterious Spoon and Archers of Agincourt. And that one is actually by Thomas H. It was actually on his old channel, but he remade it. So it's a song that he had already made and actually got vocals by Mysterious Spoon and Archers of Agincourt when he remade it. So that one's definitely worth a look as well. Next up, we've got Pinky's Jam by Subsound. And pretty much the description of this one is party time, so I'll let you check that one out for yourselves. And we also have a song titled Arrival by Pixel Trooper. And finally, we have My Cadence featuring Megaphoric on ISM BOF. And this one's actually set just as Cadence and Shining Armor were reunited and getting ready to fight Chrysalis. So definitely check those songs out.
And that one's a duet as well, which, I mean, we need to see more of those, because that one, as a duet, that song is absolutely amazing.
Alright, and that brings us to our casting call. We actually have a game seeking voice actors called My Little Pony Friendship is Magic Nightmare RPG. They're actually looking for several female voices for main roles, as well as various female and male voices for background roles. Last I checked, it was about five days ago, I believe, and they're still looking for a lot of roles, but I believe he's been inundated with tryouts and auditions and things like that, but you can definitely check out more information on that in the show notes.
And since we were off the air last week, I will also take this time to add in another casting call that has come up. The Midnight Magic Productions team, which is the makers of the vinyl scratch tapes, have announced a new radio play that they'll be putting on. This one is titled News Ponies. As far as I can tell, there's not really many canon characters that are going to be in it. A lot of them are OC ponies and just ponies that don't really have any canon personality, so there's a lot of potential for actors that can't do canon voices. Not to mention the male voice actors have something to go for now, because there's like 14 male roles and only 9 female roles that are in this. And this is like about 2 rivalry news teams, and just the shenanigans that go on between those 2 broadcasting teams. And it's sounding like it's going to be a really cool project. They brought out an excerpt from episode 2 of their show, and there's also a video that they brought out on YouTube explaining a little bit more of the project and the characters involved with it as well. So auditions for that are open until September 28th, if I'm not mistaken, and you can find more links for that in the show notes as well. So to end off the podcast this week, I'll do the fanfic segment. This week, it's something a little bit different. If you remember from a couple of weeks ago, I did an interview with a author on film fiction called Twilight Clapple. She's more known for clapfics, but in this case, she branched off a little bit from that and did a comedy. This one's titled Luna Does Something Average. It's hysterical. It plays off the fact that Luna's been gone for 1,000 years, and things are a little bit different than when she left to times nowadays, and so definitely check that one out. It's really funny, and you can find the link for that in the show notes. So with that, that will end our podcast for this week. Be sure to tune in next week for our interview with Silly Philly Studios. Until then, I'm Lightning.
I'm Rashi.
And we'll see you next time.